Recording in progress.
Okay, folks, can everyone take their seat? We're going to begin right now. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to a special meeting of the Public Safety and Transportation Committee. Today is Wednesday, April 15th. It's about 7 o'clock, and we're in the council chamber here at City Hall. Please be aware that this meeting is being both audio and video recorded. I am the chair of the committee, Councilor Tariq Lucas. I am joined by fellow committee members in the chamber, Councilors Pam Wright, Randy Block, and Maria Greenberg, and I believe Councilor Silber is on Zoom. Also with me in the chamber, not on the committee, are Councilors Oliver, Leary, Charm, Albright, Damubed, and Councilors Getz, Krinsman, and Maliki are on Zoom. If any more councilors show up, I will announce them. I said it. That's right. So we have one item on our agenda tonight. Let me just read it into the record. Docket number 56-26, discussion on the city's response to ICE. Councilors Greenberg, Charm, Lucas, Kelly, Farrell, Getz, Damubed, Albright, Krinsman, Roach, Mickley, Bixby, Leary, and Irish requesting a discussion to review who will respond and how the city of Newton will act should Immigration and Customs Enforcement, otherwise known as ICE, enter the city. The purpose is to ensure that established procedures are properly followed so that all individuals who live and/or work in Newton are protected from ICE engaging in door-to-door actions, harassment, or the unlawful detention of residents and workers. This discussion also serves to reaffirm the city of Newton's continued adherence to its welcoming city ordinance. So before we begin the public comments, I just want to thank the administration for providing information to the city's website and engaging in a healthy dialogue about a month ago in this chamber. I hope everyone has had a chance to read the backup in the agenda and has had a chance to go to the city's website where there is more relevant information. We've been joined by Councilor Sean Roach, thank you, who is on the committee. And Councilor Kelly is on Zoom, thank you. Before we go to the public comments, I just want to lay out the sort of ground rules for tonight. Everyone who addresses the committee will have up to 3 minutes to speak. I will give a 30-second warning when there is 30 seconds remaining, and then I ask that you finish up within those 3 minutes. I'm also going to ask that everyone in this chamber please be respectful to one another. Please do not cheer, boo, harass, or intimidate any of the speakers. And if we do that, everything in the tonight will run smoothly. So thank you in advance. We're going to begin with the people who signed in on the sheet. If those who want to speak and who haven't signed it, there is a sign-up sheet in there, and I will rotate to folks on Zoom when we've got a good portion of the people here on my clipboard. So I'm going to call up 3 names at a time. Those 3 people just approach the podium and line up behind the person who is speaking. I ask that each person who speaks, please give us your name and address, and then you will have 3 minutes to go. Are there any process or procedure questions from the council before we begin? Councilor Roach, you've raised your hand.
Councilor Chair Lucas, I would like to do what I do for land use, which is I set up a camera so that people online can see the speaker speaking. And so those people online, if you'd like to see the speaker as they speak, you can pin, I'll be on in a minute, you can pin me in Zoom. I will not have my mic on, but you will be able to see the speaker behind me. So, and I can repeat this later, but if you want to see, find me on Zoom, pin me, and then that will be the speaker. Thank you.
Councilor Roach, it's those P's when you say pin.
I will look for words that do not have the letter that precedes R. No, precedes Q.
That's right. All right, so the first three speakers, or are there any other questions or comments about procedure or process before we begin? All right, Counselor Charm, sorry.
Is there any limit to the number of speakers that we might hear tonight?
Everyone can speak once. Is that what you meant? You get 3 minutes and 3 minutes.
I mean, I'm delighted. It looks like we might be here until midnight. So,
Well, I have to go to work tomorrow, so we will see. We will cross that bridge when we get there. Okay? All right. So any other comments, questions before we begin? Nope. I see we have some people standing on the side. Just so folks know, there are additional seats up in the balcony. You can access those seats by exiting through the stairs in the hallway and walking up. Thank you, Councilor Leary. So the first three speakers, please approach the podium. Laura Tovum, Kate Vasquez, Sydney On. Just state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes.
My name's Laura Tovum, 61 Islington Road. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and it's wonderful to see a packed chamber. I'm deeply concerned that the mayor's executive order and the recent Q&A posted to the city website, while important first steps, are not enough to keep Newton's residents safe. We are living in a period of unprecedented federal overreach and have seen a disturbing disregard for civil rights in Minneapolis and elsewhere, where mass federal agents in tactical gear terrorized residents. In those cities, a leadership vacuum and lack of preparation left residents to fend for themselves with tragic consequences. Clarity is a form of protection. Our community deserves to know exactly how our city will act. To start, Newton should move beyond hosting information on a web page and launch an active education campaign. This information should be distributed widely in multiple languages so that every resident, city worker, and business owner understands the boundaries of federal authority and has quick access to this information. In addition, Newton should prominently post signs designating all non-public municipal spaces to provide the legal groups, to refuse groups entry to agents who lack a judicial warrant. Provide signage for local businesses to clearly designate private areas that agents cannot enter without permission, and widely distribute Know Your Rights information to all businesses and residents. Finally, I think the executive order should be strengthened with regard to the role of our police. Discussions and statements to date have characterized our police as neutral observers. This really concerns me. Not cooperating is not the same as protection. The fundamental job of our police is to serve as the first line of defense for our civil rights. We need active community protection. This means police showing up to witness and document federal actions. They can also flag and report ICE inquiries to the city solicitor to trigger legal support. And the city should maintain a firm commitment to intervene if unidentified or masked individuals attempt to detain a resident. Other municipalities have adopted this more active protection model to ensure that no one operates in their city outside the bounds of the Constitution. These extraordinary times require extraordinary leadership. I urge the council and the mayor to do everything in its power to shield our residents from the unconstitutional overreach we are seeing throughout our country. Thank you.
Thank you. Folks, can we not applaud? I ask that you not applaud, please. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Kate Vasquez at 144 River Street. Hello, thank you for your time and the privilege of being able to speak to you all, which is one that many people no longer have. I'm Kate Vasquez. I'm a 16-year-old junior at Newton North High School. Mark Laredo visited Newton North in January to watch a show called Lost and Found, which is a theater show directed and crafted by students of color for students of color. I performed a satirical piece primarily made up of quotes by ICE officials and from detainee testimony. You all know the dangers ICE poses, and I don't think I need to explain that any further, though you have access to my performance as a reminder, and the executive order is in the right direction. On March 18th, last meeting with ICE, I heard that Newton police officers would aid ICE officials if they were pursuing a terrorist, and a counselor brought up a good point. Who is a terrorist? Martin Luther King Jr., Nelson Mandela have all been considered terrorists. In the past week, the federal government has classified anyone expressing anti-fascist ideology as a terrorist threat. According to federal language, the NPD would assist ICE in detaining what I assume to be many people in this room, as well as many at home. If city officials want to profit off of Newton's reputation as a safe and educated liberal community, then you have to put in the work. One cannot run on a platform of supporting public safety and fighting all forms of hate without taking the tangible steps needed to get there. In my previous performance, describing depictions of human trafficking and rape don't compel you, then maybe the city's economics and education will. During ICE walkouts, other Newton residents yelled slurs at me and my friends. That is a city that you are continuing to foster. I know hundreds of Newton students who are prepared to walk out of school if nothing changes. If you don't think ICE should detain me, then say it. If I look like a terrorist to you, then maybe you're not as different than the federal administration that you pride yourself on being. Thank you.
Thank you. Name and address, please.
Hi, I'm Sydney On, 195 Adams Street. I'm here to talk to you all today, not to only tell you about how ICE is a danger to my family and other immigrant families living in Newton, but also to tell you that within our community, we also are here. ICE is a danger to almost, ICE is a danger to immigrants here living in Newton and almost across all of America, but we are here today not only to talk about ICE as a danger to not only humanitarian rights of immigrants, but also in general the protection of immigrants within the Newton community. A couple weeks ago, I had made a speech at No King's Day as a student representative, and I urged for other students to be involved with their community. But for that to happen, we must have a community in the first place. ICE is not only a danger to our immigrants here, but a danger to our community within. My key point here today is that not to dilute the topic of what, as a city, we should do to protect Newton residents against ICE, but also be with as a community within. And my point is, I am scared for my family. I am scared of ICE. I'm scared of having my family being taken away. I was born here and my parents are immigrants, and I don't know whether if my friends or my family would see another day because of what is going on right now. And I only see that a community that has been broken because of actions that we have not committed ourselves. I didn't prepare a speech. I didn't write anything, and I feel so nervous today, but I only came here today because I feel as if our community is in danger.
You have about 30 seconds left.
And hopefully my point has come across here today. But what I came here to say is that ICE is not our only focus here today, but also I see a community that has been broken, and I want it to be fixed again. Take with that as you will.
Thank you. Folks, the next three speakers just line up are Michelle Panasteel, Ellie Goldberg, and Andrew Boland. Hopefully I pronounced all the names right. Apologies if I mispronounced anything. We've also been joined by Councilors Kalis, Irish, and Golden. And for those who missed the announcement earlier, there is some extra seating in the balcony if you are standing, and you can access the balcony by exiting through the stairs in the hallway and making your way upstairs. Go ahead, please.
Good evening, Michelle Bannon Steele, 367 Lowell Labs. You'll get it right one day, Trek. Good evening, council members. Thank you for being here. I'm a veteran, and I spend a lot of time thinking about what it means when institutions plan to foresee foreseeable harm. The Straits of Hormuz, anybody? This week, the salary data for the public employees was published. 9 Newton police officers collected over $1 million in details pay the last year. Details meaning that they were acting as safety at construction sites and utility work sites, by and large paid for private contractors. I am not here to say officers don't deserve safe pay. They do. I too have worn a uniform. I am here to ask a question I have not seen the answer to yet. What does a Newton police officer do when ICE shows up at their detail worksite? Right now, there is no written protocol. The March 18 Public Safety Committee meeting made that clear. The city solicitor acknowledged it. Councilor Charm, who works at Boston City Hall, said she was surprised that Newton hadn't issued guidance the way that Boston had. Officers on detail are stationed at the exact sites where ICE will be visiting. Construction crews, utility work, and we don't know. What are they supposed to do when ICE shows up? Do they call a supervisor? Do they intervene? Do they stand aside? The Welcoming City Ordinance has a public safety exception broad enough to drive a truck through that a federal agent claiming someone like me is a threat that can potentially justify Newton Police Department cooperation. I am not a terrorist. I am a veteran. Our officers and community deserve the respect of written guidance before it matters. Newton just told us what it values in our schools. This meeting is a chance to show something different. Do we value the work that our officers do, that all of our public officials and public workers do, whether they are on detail or whether they are working at the library? I am asking this council to, 1, direct the administration to issue written worksite specific protocols for all public employees, including officers on detail encountering federal immigration enforcement, modeled on Boston and other guidance, before the end of April. 2, require a clear definition of the public safety exception in the Welcoming City Ordinance, narrow enough that officers can apply it consistently and safely, and residents can hold the city accountable when they do not. 3, establish a defined and accountable chain of command and escalation protocol with an audit.
To wrap up, I missed a 30-second countdown, sorry.
And details officers for public employees and details officers at private work sites. We need this issue addressed before our neighbors are disappeared.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ellie Goldberg, 79 Elmore Street, Newton. I'm an advocate for public policy that prioritizes public health, especially to protect children from preventable harm. ICE is a public health emergency. The recent State House forum and the legislative hearing on the PROTECT Act was a chilling litany of abuse and family and community trauma. Indeed, we all are witness to a clear pattern nationally and in Massachusetts of ICE's illegal and criminal behavior. We see how mass thugs invade communities without legitimate judicial warrants. They kidnap and disappear men, women, and children, citizens and non-citizens, without any pretense of respecting their victims' rights under due process or immigration or criminal laws. We know that a high percentage of those detained and deported are not guilty of any violation, crime, or a threat to public safety. In fact, the cases when so-called federal agents are acting lawfully is rare. They act by design without a valid judicial warrant or criminal charge, causing physical injury and extensive property damage, and use deceptive and fraudulent pretenses to intimidate and detain their victims. And they use abusive arrest and aggressive crowd control tactics with impunity. Furthermore, we know federal officials are using lies, false accusations, false charges, and the language of dehumanization and demonization to justify the extreme physical and mental abuse, inhumane conditions in detention centers, denial of medical care, and denial of counsel and legal representation. Newton needs clear, specific protocols that address this reality so that every single person in Newton feels safe, supported, and welcome. We need to know we can rely on Newton's police to not only safeguard the scene and general public, but also to intervene to protect every neighbor, family member, business owner, employee, service provider, medical patient, and parent taking a child to daycare, irrespective of their immigration status. I feel compelled to write this testimony because I grew up haunted by the stories that a great uncle was snatched off the street and disappeared to Siberia. And many members of my extended family were murdered in the Holocaust, and the trauma has been intergenerational. The consequences of police inaction are not hypothetical. Remember the 2022 massacre at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas. There were 376 officers who responded and did nothing.
You have 30 seconds left.
1 hour and 14 minutes, the shooter was in the classroom, killing students and teachers and injuring 18 others. They failed to prioritize saving the lives of others over their own safety. In a safe country, no law entitles any official of any government to use extreme force or threat of force to intimidate, coerce, or harm someone, especially for civil violations. So we need to know more than listing our rights on a website that's no security. Conduct does nothing to protect people and their families from the trauma of government violence or complicity.
Could you wrap up, please?
Okay, I fear that the lack of clear protocols for police intervention and protection for all Newton will leave us all vulnerable like the children in Uvalde. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, so I'm Andrew Boland, 15 Chilton Place. It's a really nice area, not a lot of crime until there started to be murderers and rapists, J6ers, neo-Nazis, neo-Confederates, people too violent to qualify as police officers staging kidnappings blocks away from my house in a local parking lot. My fiance is a woman of color, and this has created a baseline stress of hers that I've never seen before. She doesn't speak her native tongue in public anymore because her friend, a US citizen, was kidnapped off the street for doing so and detained for 8 hours. She is too afraid to be here tonight, and that's why I'm here. We lock our doors, we have cameras installed outside the house, and we are prepared to defend ourselves so that nobody is going to Burlington or Louisiana. I know the city has limits to what it can do in the face of this federal overreach, but what Newton needs to do is have no compliance with ICE, no leasing of space, no data sharing, no power, no water, no internet hookups, no parking on our streets. You see them, tow them, let them figure out how to get their cars. No access to the courthouse, and no city employees should be able to cooperate with ICE or CPB without immediate termination. This includes clerks and police sharing resident data. This includes protecting ICE from the people that want to resist them. This includes courthouse security, allowing entrance to the building. And it should also include it when Johnny Law decides to join a fascist Telegram channel with ICE officers. Now, the King's secret police deserve to be tarred and feathered. We need to push back with every tool at our disposal to frustrate ICE and CPB's disregard for the law and the Constitution.
Thank you. The next three speakers are Sana Fadel, Pat Burdick, Diane Pruente. Just line up, please. And I said this earlier, I see some people standing. There are plenty of seats upstairs in the balcony. You can make your way to the stairs and head on up if you want to sit as opposed to stand. Go ahead, please.
Good evening. My name is Sana Fadel, 69 Fair Oaks Ave. I want to start first by thanking Councillor Greenberg for taking the lead and bringing us all here today. So the Trump administration has been crystal clear, using national security to weaponize anti-terrorism laws to target any opposition to authoritarian practices by labeling immigrants, regardless of immigration status or legal status, for their political views, and calling them criminals and calling their allies as terrorists. The Trump administration is attempting to create the moral justification for the staggering rate of killings and violence and erosion of civil liberties. So with that framing, here we are in Newton. What can we do? And the mayor has made it crystal clear he does not want to do anything that pits police officers against ICE and federal officers. So I have a few suggestions. The first is that first, there's a lot of information sharing, including between police and ICE, including in so-called sanctuary cities. I know we're a welcoming city, so even beyond that there's more information. So, as a previous person mentioned, the Newton Police Department does not have written policies on information sharing, on cooperation, on their ability to check immigration statuses at any interventions, or any bans on having 287G agreements. We could have, many cities have them. There is a model, the town of Bedford is a model that should be looking at. The second, I'd love to see that, police are required to be trained in de-escalation techniques as part of their state licensing with the post. That can be reiterated to allow NPD to use de-escalation techniques if there are protests and they need for calming. Next, police also have a duty to intervene under state law if another officer is unlawfully harming someone. That can be reiterated. It is current law. It is not new, a state law. Next, inventory of all city-owned and operated property and require all city agencies to develop a plan to keep ICE out by directing them to the legal department before they can enter unless they have a judicial warrant.
You have about 30 seconds left.
Okay, I'm going to go into a few, I'll put some in writing. There are some things around children that I want to address because kids have been abducted and used as bait. If ICE seeks to hold a child for their protection as bait, the city must require that the child remain with the city representative on location, whether it's the school or library, until ICE can provide assurances that the facility that this child is going to be going to meets the state requirements, EEC requirements.
Wrap up, please.
And then NPS's anti-discrimination policy requires the involvement of NPD in investigations. This includes things that do not rise to a level of a crime. The information of students is sent to the NPD, and that information cannot be shared with federal authorities. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Good evening. Thank you for holding this public hearing. My name is Patricia Burdick. I live at 180 Dudley Road in Newton Center, and I have lived there for over 50 years. Like many of the people in the chamber, I have very dear immigrant friends now living here in Newton. They came from many countries: Venezuela, Chile, Poland, South Africa, Guatemala. I also go to a hair salon, a bakery, and a pizza restaurant in Newton Center. All of these businesses owned and staffed by immigrants. They are good people of value to the community. They pay taxes and they work hard. I worry because some of them are at risk of arrest by ICE only because of the color of their skin, due to the openly racist policy of the Department of Homeland Security. We have witnessed people with visas, with green cards, and even citizens who have been picked up and put into prison. Right now, ICE is trying to grow its prison capacity by buying warehouses to hold thousands of immigrants in each one. These warehouses are unfit for holding people, sometimes for months. We cannot allow this cruelty to be normalized. A national day of action is taking place on Saturday, April 25th. It's called Communities, Not Cages. It's sponsored by Indivisible, the Detention Watch Network, and Disappeared in America. Newton Indivisible will be supporting this action at our weekly standout on April 25th. Unless you think that a warehouse in Newton is too expensive for ICE, recall that ICE is flush with money coming from our tax dollars. I hope that this committee, this council, and the mayor will take steps to keep ICE from establishing a warehouse Prison in Newton. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Diane Pruenti, and I live at 305 Winchester Street. I want to thank Mayor Laredo, Police Chief Cahoon, and the entire police department, and all of you for what you have done on this issue and taking our concerns seriously. There are a few points in particular that I want to address tonight. There have been reports of kidnappings, sexual assault, and robbery by ICE impersonators throughout the country. What is Newton doing to protect individuals in Newton from imposters? What are our guidelines for this? This should be available to all of us. To allay some of the fears of immigrants, I would like to see welcoming city signs at the city borders. And to avoid any misunderstanding by ICE and DHS, we should have signs in public spaces stating that they are not permitted in these places. All city employees should be aware of Newton's policies and how to act on them. The new website about immigration rights is very helpful and covers a lot of material. I think we should reinforce it by making it more prominent and making sure that residents, businesses, and visitors know what their rights are aware of LUCE and their phone number, and how to conduct themselves if they see ICE acting legally and illegally. We should all know what to expect from Newton Police and what not to expect. There have been so many tragic incidents related to immigration since Trump took office. I feel we should go out of our way to ensure all of us know what we should do immediately if we encounter ICE and what our rights are. This should be done in all languages that represent our population. We can do this not only on the website, but we can do it through citywide meetings, social media, and newsletters. Thank you.
Thank you. The next three people are Michael Goldman, Enrique Rosero, Lindsay Golden.
My name is Mickle Goldman, and I live at 34 Ware Road in Auburndale. And we've heard many specifics here. I'm in sympathy with many of them. We've heard expressions of pain. And I think I want to try to say something, in a sense, more simple. That is, I think that by now the mayor and the council, you're very well aware of which rights, citizens' rights and the rights of the city to autonomy are enshrined in law. And I want to urge you to take with absolute seriousness the importance of defending those rights in the face of any kind of attack from ICE or from any federal agency that is not legal. I think that the well-being, the sense of safety and security of the community of Newton depends on the sense that the city will do that for us, and democracy depends on that sense of safety as well. Mayor Laredo has been quite clear that he will seemingly at all costs avoid a confrontation between our police and any federal agents. I would ask him and you to reconsider that quietly. It's not a question of public statements, but I would hope that you would meet with the police to understand what kind of strategies you might put in place in case you are confronted with a situation where you have to say this far and no farther. And hopefully you will never have to go there and use those strategies, but you'll know what they are. You'll know they're in place, and you'll all, I suspect, sleep better at night for it. Thank you. And we will too. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Enrique Rosero, 19 Garland. It's rare for this council to allow constituents to offer public comment, so I appreciate the opportunity to be heard. I'm an immigrant, a 20+ years journey from a student visa to a work permit to a green card, and finally, for the last decade, a naturalized US citizen. Unfortunately, my papers do not offer guarantees. Under current ICE procedures and profiling, I'm still likely to be stopped and asked, where were you born? We've seen that ICE agents do not always care for explanations or look at documents before acting. Rights violations are too common. I don't live in fear, but my family worries. I'm here because I read the mayor's executive order less as a safeguard and more as a photo op. Virtually signal without an implementation plan. Given his history of political alignment with those less than friendly towards diversity and inclusion, I am skeptical. An EEO sign for the cameras is not the same as a standing order for police officers on patrol. So I'd like to know how exactly our Newton Police Department is prepared to serve and protect us. We know that law enforcement in Newton can be haphazard, often strained by understaffing. When resources are thin, priorities are set by the chain of command. To date, Mr. Laredo's instructions to MPD have been wishy-washy. If the mayor says we don't send officers to confront ICE, then what exactly is their role? We need concrete answers to operational questions. Will NPD communicate to ICE teams that they are infringing on our ordinances by setting up command posts in our city parking lots? Will NPD physically prevent ICE officers from entering city property? Will NPD respond to a call for service if a resident is being harassed by federal agents on municipal land? Or is the policy simply for NPD to look the other way? I believe in the rule of law because it promises that our lives are governed by clear, predictable boundaries, not the whims of political convenience. But the law is only as good as its application. This committee should make sure the implementation of these policies is as concrete as the people and principle it's meant to safeguard. We do not need more posturing. We need specifics and teeth. I urge this committee to demand a clear written protocol for NPD that moves beyond the mayor's rhetoric and provides actual reliable protection for every resident in Newton, regardless of their status.
About 30 seconds left.
Do not just tell us you value us. Show us the instructions you are giving the people with badges who soar to serve and protect us. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Lindsay Golden. I'm also at 19 Garland Road. You've heard many arguments tonight rooted in moral clarity and patriotism, grounded in the American ideal that all people, regardless of ancestry, are equal under the law. I support everything that's been said tonight. As your constituent, I want you to take an absolutely maximalist position to protect the people of this city against what I will plainly call fascist overreach. We are a city full of people with direct blood connections to victims of fascism, a movement that scapegoated innocent people and grew because not enough people and not enough elected officials stood up to government bullies early enough. We, of all people, should know what happens when you don't. Mayor Laredo's executive order was a start, but it falls far short of what this moment demands. You have not yet done nearly enough. I want to tell you something personal. I have a 13-year-old daughter. She's a daughter of me and a naturalized US citizen who is figuring out where she belongs in the world, where she is accepted, where she is safe. She is Hispanic, and she looks like the people being demonized by this administration as a threat to American values. She looks like people that masked men without badges, without identification, drag into cars with tinted windows and take to overcrowded, unsanitary, dehumanizing detention centers. A few weeks ago, my daughter asked me whether ICE operates in Newton. I told her they can, but so far they have focused elsewhere. She asked, well, what happens if they come here? Here's what I want to be able to tell her. Here in Newton, city leaders have mandated that law enforcement must show their faces and identify themselves because no one should fear being taken by masked men simply for having brown skin like my daughters. Here in Newton, if someone tries to enter your home without a judicial warrant, you can call 911 because the mayor and the city council have given police clear legal guidance on how to engage with ICE. The Newton police will protect you. Here in Newton, a permanent land use ordinance prevents the city from ever allowing its buildings to be used for detention because our leaders had the foresight to ban actions that betray our common values.
You have about 30 seconds left.
Here in Newton, it is safe to go to school because city leaders have designated school interiors as non-public spaces, meaning ICE needs a judicial warrant to enter. Here in Newton, Sabina, you are safe. You belong. You are an American. That is the answer I want to give my daughter. That is the city I want to live in. Please make it happen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we not have any applause, please? Next, three speakers are Tom Mountain, Alan Decter, and I have a Helene McNeil on here, but it's crossed off. It'll stay crossed off. So we'll do Sandy Young.
Good evening. My name is Tom Mountain. I live at 117 Truman Road in Newton. I am the state committee member for the Republican Party for this district. And as such, I serve as the spokesman and the conduit for the Trump administration for this district, which includes Newton. And I will say at the outset that this committee, the city council, is in violation of federal law. You are in violation of federal law.
Folks, hold on. Folks, can we not boo or make comments when people are speaking? Let's be respectful. Go ahead.
Can I have some of my time back, please?
Go ahead.
This interruption, thank you. You're in violation of federal law due to the Laken-Riley Act, which prohibits municipalities from giving sanctuary, from harboring and aiding and abetting illegal alien, criminal aliens in any given district. Now, Laken-Riley, some of you may or may not know, was a young lady who was raped and murdered by an illegal alien who shouldn't have been here in Georgia. Because of that, her mother and many other mothers got together and initiated the Laken-Riley Act to prevent similar things from happening in the future. They are called angel moms. Now, do any of you know any angel moms? I wonder if any of you know what an angel mom is. Well, an angel mom is very simple. An angel mom is a parent whose child was murdered by an illegal alien who shouldn't have been here. And as a result, such an act was very preventable had federal law been enacted by the community in which she and they lived, and those children would be alive today. Now, obviously, there is much, shall we say, consternation, if not hysteria, in this room. The administration is not coming after you and your relatives or your children if they are legal immigrants. Even, quite frankly, if they are.
Hold on, Tom, hold on. Folks, can we not make noises when people are speaking? Let's be respectful to one another. Go ahead, Mr. Mountain.
The administration is going after criminal aliens who have committed crimes and harmed people in the United States. This will continue in Newton and elsewhere. And I will say this to the committee and to the council in general. If any individual in Newton is harmed by an illegal alien, given the sanctuary city status of Newton, you as councilors will be directly responsible for this, for the harm that comes to that person. You will be probably responsible legally. You will be responsible morally.
About 30 seconds.
And we will make sure that the nation understands and knows who you are and your complicity in harboring and sanctioning illegal aliens in this community. We ask for cooler heads to prevail and realize that the Trump administration, the federal government is not your enemy. Stop behaving as if it is. The Trump administration, Donald Trump is a duly elected president of the United
If you
States
wrap up, Mr. Mountain.
who is acting on behalf of the American people, American citizens. And if you gave one iota of concern to
Mr. Mountain,
instead of the
Mr. Mountain. Hey, folks. Folks. Hold on, sir. Hold on. Folks, we are not going to have this, okay? We need to be respectful to one another, address your comments to me, and let people speak when they're at the podium, please. Go ahead,
Order,
sir.
Chair.
Alan Dector at 327 Cabot Street, Newtonville. I want to read to you the United States Criminal Code, Title 8, Section 1324. Any person who, knowing that a person is an illegal alien, brings to or attempts to bring to the United States in any manner whatsoever, such person at a place other than a designated port or entry or place other than as designated by the commissioner, regardless of whether such alien has received prior official authorization to come to, enter, or reside in the United States, regardless of any future official action which may be taken with respect to such alien. Knowing or in reckless disregard of the fact that an alien has come to, entered, or remains in the United States in violation of law, transports or moves or attempts to transport or move such alien within the United States by means of transportation or otherwise, in furtherance of such violation of law. Knowing or in reckless disregard of the fact that an alien has come to, entered, or remains in the United States in violation of law, conceals, harbors, or shields from detection, or attempts to conceal, harbor, or shield from detection such alien in any place, including any building or any means of transportation. Now, you could Google all that. I'm not going to finish reading this, but you can Google it. Title 8, Section 1324 of the United States Criminal Code. I yield my time.
All right, thank you. Next.
Hi, my name is Sandy Young, and I live on 18 Karen Road in Waban. Whether immigrants walked across the border or overstayed their visa and they commit a crime, they should not be here. Whether the crime is a theft, an assault, a drug offense, or a murder, they should not be protected by sanctuary city policies. All law enforcement should be able to communicate and help each other, including city, state, and federal officers. This could only enhance public safety. You cannot paint them all with a broad brush. They should be welcomed into our community as much as you want to welcome immigrants. We should trust and appreciate all law enforcement. This includes ICE. They are a vital part of national homeland security created after 9/11. You don't give them the benefit of the doubt and that they are well-trained, and most of them are good people. They are doing a difficult and sometimes dangerous job, especially in sanctuary jurisdictions where people are hostile to them. I like and respect, and I voted for some of you on this council. When I see you joining anti-ICE protests in Newton Center, it is very disheartening. I'd like it to be on the record that not everyone in this city agrees with you on this issue. There are many of us that do not want to remain a sanctuary city. It is very sad that you people who are supposed to represent us either don't know or don't care what we think. So thank you for letting me speak my piece.
Thank you. Are you Helene McNeil?
Yes.
Hold on just a second. We're going to go Helene McNeil, Henry Barbaro, Renee Millet. Hopefully I pronounced that right. Go ahead, please.
I'd like to yield my time to Fidel Ramos.
Oh. Sir, could you just give your name and address and you'll have 3 minutes.
Yes, I'm Fidel Ramos. I'm a 40-year resident of Newton Highlands, and I'm a proud American. I'm also an immigrant to this country. I came here as a young boy. This country gave my family an opportunity to flee a communist country of Cuba. And we took that opportunity to become great patriots and great contributors to this country by our acts and our deeds. I'm here today to say that as an immigrant to this country, I am forever grateful for this country. I'm also offended by the double standard that we sometimes give immigrants who break the law. ICE, their primary role is to detain those who have broken the law, who are also here illegally. There's way too many immigrants here to chase all of them. The focus is on the criminal aliens who broke the laws. Criminal aliens who broke the law should face deportation. This is a great country. Allowing immigrants in is a great gesture. The moment an immigrant breaks the law, he has overstayed his welcome, and we should not be giving him so much extra leniency. And as an immigrant, I have the right to say these things. So my suggestion is allow the police to turn over to ICE people who've broken the law. That's all that ICE is looking for. Because when you don't turn them over, then ICE has to go hunt them down, and it creates chaos on our streets and turmoil for the community and risks to the police officers and to the illegal aliens. What Trump is trying to do is to find the most heinous criminals. And sometimes you get people that are swept up in the raids looking for a criminal. Sometimes there's friends, accomplices, neighbors. Sometimes there's roommates involved. And that is a messy thing, I agree. But if the police would just turn over the person that ICE is looking for, there would be no need to go into the community and end up sweeping up other people who have not broken any law other than being here illegally. Let's allow ICE to do their focus.
About 30 seconds left.
I think I've said what I have to say. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you. Next.
Good evening, members of the City Council. My name is Henry Barbaro, and I live at 111 Edinburgh Street. I'm here to voice my concerns over Newton's welcoming city ordinance, specifically how it limits coordination between police and federal authorities, even after an individual has been lawfully arrested and is in the secure custody of the Newton Police Department. To put tonight's hearing in perspective, we just witnessed an historical event under the Biden administration. It was the largest four-year immigration event in U.S. history. Much of that wave was illegal immigration at a rate of about 4 or 5 times greater than usual, for let's say a total of about 8 to 10 million illegal migrants during that time. Of those, there were as many as 2 million gotaways, and the majority of those were likely not vetted in any way. That means no photos, no fingerprints, and no record of any criminal history. The real issue is what happens after someone has already been arrested and is in police custody. At that point, everything is controlled, it's predictable, it's the safest possible setting for coordination between law enforcement agencies. But the ordinance limits communication with federal authorities during that window, and that creates a gap. Newton's automatic notification system depends on fingerprints, but if someone's fingerprints are not in those databases, federal authorities may never know that that person was arrested unless they are directly notified. So this means that someone can be arrested, processed, and released, and no one at the federal level ever had a chance to evaluate the case. Granted, the ordinance does allow cooperation in the most extreme cases, such as murder. That makes sense, but it leaves a gap everywhere else. After the 9/11 disaster, the federal government created the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency specifically to improve coordination between all agencies responsible for public safety. Limiting communication after a lawful arrest risks reintroducing the same kinds of gaps those 9/11 reforms were meant to fix. And that gap includes serious offenses, repeat drunk driving, drug trafficking, breaking and entering, cases that would not meet the narrow exceptions of the ordinance, but still raise real public safety concerns.
You have about 30 seconds left.
When coordination doesn't happen in custody, enforcement doesn't disappear. It just happens later in neighborhoods or workplaces where arrests are less predictable, less humane, and more risky. There's also the risk that once someone is released, they may not show up for court, may leave the area, or may reoffend. To sum up, public safety policies should reduce risk, not increase it. If coordination is going to happen, the safest and most humane place is while someone is in custody, not out in the community. In closing, no policy should expose law enforcement officers in neighborhoods to greater risk. Public safety must come first. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Hold on just for 1 second, sir. After you speak, we're going to go to Zoom. So if you're on Zoom and you wish to address the committee, please raise your virtual hand and I will call on you in turn. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. My name is Renee Millette, and I am at 12 Stoneleigh Road. I'm a proud Newtonian, and I too am an immigrant. I'm originally from Chile, where I was born. And I just wanted to add a slight biographical and perhaps slightly historical note to provide a little perspective on where we are and where we've come from. Like many in this city, my ancestors faced persecution and dealt with persecution. Initially, it was in the shtetls of what is now Ukraine, the pogroms, and later on, when I was 10 years old, there was a coup d'etat in Santiago, Chile, and I found myself bewildered as my family, we were hiding relatives in our house. And that worked until my mother was blacklisted. And then she had to leave. We had to leave, basically, and we moved to Montreal. And all this simply to say that many of us in this city are only here and only exist because somebody protected some ancestor of ours. Somebody helped provide safe passage. Somebody did a very brave act. Perhaps a municipality was brave and protected those within their borders. And so I just want to say that my feeling regarding this issue is that it's very simple. I exist in part because people have protected my ancestors, and I will protect others because that's what we do. That's what we do as neighbors. To my neighbors who have already spoken, who are concerned about immigration and crime, I think we share a lot in terms of our concern about the law.
About 30 seconds left.
Yeah. I think that the difference might be in that some of us are more concerned about the immense power that the federal government wields and are concerned about the safety coming from that end. So with that, I think I'll close and thank you.
Okay, thank you. We're going to go to Zoom right now. But if there's anyone in the chamber who has not signed the sheet, if you would like to address the committee later on, please go ahead and sign up. But for right now, we are going to go to the Zoom name Sam Law. If you could unmute when prompted and give your name and address, please.
So thank you. That's me, Rohan Samara Weera Esquire. I'm an attorney. I've resided in Newton for over 50 years. In the course of my legal practice, I've had several hundred occasions on which to counsel and actually handle applications for change of status for immigrants who want to do it legally. I myself naturalized at the age of 19. And my concern about what y'all are doing is that there seems to be a lot of emphasis. By the way, I've read the mayor's executive order and the so-called welcoming city ordinance. There seems to be an inordinate amount of focus on ICE detainers and the word detainer. I think one of the things that y'all should do along the lines of one of the other gentlemen who spoke and testified is that many of us are concerned not about our neighbors who are immigrants, but about illegal activity and criminal aliens, which is what the focus of ICE is. Because when you're into the ICE system, you've generally, as an immigrant, been through the hearings before the U.S. Justice Department, immigration hearings offices, and then there's an automatic appeal if you want it to the Court of Immigration Appeals, and then also an appeal to the U.S. Circuit Court for that circuit. So when you go over to DHS and ICE is after you, you've usually been convicted of something either in the country that you came from or here. So my question to both the city's legal counsel and the chief of police, if they're there, is in the exception in the city ordinance section 2403, where the city police can in fact engage with ICE where someone has been previously convicted, on an ICE detainer if all they're asking for is to be notified in advance when someone who has, and just take the example under the General Laws, Chapter 265, what you cite as crimes against the person. There are several instances in which someone might serve their sentence and they're being released.
You have about 30 seconds left.
Just in those circumstances, let the police notify ICE and remove those aliens in the safest manner possible rather than putting ICE operations out on the street. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next, we're going to go with Jessica. Just unmute when prompted, and please state your name and address.
Thank you very much. My name is Jessica Flynn. I'm a resident at 75 Brookside Avenue, and I'm here to speak up for law and order, for prioritizing American citizens and legal immigrants, and for ending sanctuary-style protections that encourage illegal immigration. Federal law enforcement officers from ICE are doing the critical job of removing illegal immigrants and securing our borders. Newton's current approach limits information sharing and cooperation with ICE. This undermines the rule of law and puts our community at greater risk. True public safety requires full cooperation between local and federal authorities, not political barriers that protect those who have violated the law. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next, we're going to go with Zachary S. Please unmute when prompted. State your name and address, please.
Hi there. My name is Zachary Steinberg. I live at 129 Valentine Street. On January 20th in Minneapolis, St. Paul, U.S. citizen Scott Tao was detained by ICE at gunpoint. To quote him, "They didn't show any warrant. They just broke down the door." He was captured on video by his neighbors as he was led out in handcuffs and sandals and underwear during freezing temperatures. They're not very good at their job of only going after the terrible, terrible bad guy people, as some of the people who are part of the 20% of Newton voters who voted for Trump and the big small minority might lead you to believe. So what happens if ICE shows up here and breaks our laws? Another thing that happened in Illinois is that ICE agents were swapping license plates around their cars. So what are we going to do if these dangerous criminals show up here and break our laws? What should the written policy be? I'd like to see a written policy that if a Newton police agent is on a job site and federal agents show up, I think that with great power should come great responsibility, and the written policy should be the police officer should ask the ICE agents to see the judicial warrant. And if it's not there and they try to arrest someone, that's breaking the law, violating the Fourth Amendment. And I think the Newton police officer's written policy should be to arrest them. If cars are spotted with plates that are switched, I think the written policy should be that the Newton police should take the car and tow it and possibly impound it. If someone is breaking down the door and doesn't see a judicial warrant, what are they going to do? I'd like the written policy to be that if a 911 call is received and ICE agents are knocking at a door and refusing to show a judicial warrant, that the Newton police should come over, investigate, possibly discourage them from opening the door, and stand up for people's rights. And if an ICE agent does come in without a judicial warrant, violating the Fourth Amendment, I would like the written policy to be that the Newton police should arrest the criminals who are violating the law. Again, these are worst case scenario occurrences, but if ICE agents are breaking the law like they did in Illinois and like they did in Chicago and like they did in LA and like they did in Minneapolis, I think the written policy should be that when an ICE agent breaks the law, the Newton police should respond, possibly by arresting them. And if we think that we shouldn't have conflict like that, it is pretty scary, but we are paying these agents millions of dollars in overtime to sit around and do nothing.
You have
So
about 30 seconds left.
if the policy should be that the Newton police agents should do nothing, we might be able to save some money by replacing them with cardboard cutouts. But given that we're probably not going to do that, I think that we should give these police agents who are making a whole bunch of money in overtime the responsibility to stand up for Newtonites when ICE agents break the law, and let's have that policy in place so we can be prepared when they break the law.
Thank you. Next, we're going to go to Fran Godin. Please unmute when prompted. State your name and address.
Thank you. Fran Godin at 19 Crofton Road in Newton. I greatly appreciate this hearing and all of our police, fire, teachers, all of our public servants, and believe that the executive order that our mayor has administered is a good start, but as a citizen, I'm looking for greater clarity and specificity. What do I do if ICE comes to the door? What if I happen to have someone inside who's an immigrant? I'd like to know exactly what the best practices would be for us as citizens, residents here in Newton. I'm also horrified of the idea of seeing masked people on our street. I think that federal agents can certainly have easy to read identification and not have masks or face coverings. That just doesn't feel like Newton. I have a 3-year-old granddaughter, and I can't imagine her experience and her friends and other children in our city seeing folks going around with those black masks. It just doesn't feel like Newton. So I'd like to see something prevented in that regard, and preferable clear identification as needed. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we're going to go with Janet Sturman. Please unmute when prompted and state your name and address.
Hi, everyone. Tariq, thank you. Council Lucas, I should say thank you for allowing me to speak. Janet Sturman. I reside at 120 Church Street. I can't tell you, I'm getting a huge laugh about all these people who are so afraid of seeing people in masks. I see people in Newton riding in their cars wearing masks because they're afraid of catching some disease that was brought into this country from who knows how that all happened in 2020. But now we're afraid of seeing people in masks. I think that's the funniest thing I've heard all night. I did watch in detail the 319 Public Safety and Transportation meeting, where you discussed with the city officials the guidelines that you'd like to put in place for this tightening up of keeping ICE out of here. They're going to kill us. They're coming after us. I've never seen so many people living in so much fear from what they watch on the boob tube in my lifetime. It's unbelievable. So now people are afraid of people wearing masks, even though my doctor wears a mask when I go into his office. Should I not go see my doctor because he's wearing a mask, or the nurse is wearing a mask. Anyway, one of the things that was clear to me listening to the discussion among the city councilors on the 18th was that one of the big questions is the are the guidelines going to be laid out by the city employees? This was a big thing Krinsman was saying, and I want to say to him, this should be the responsibility of the city councilors who want these guidelines so badly. You should be communicating them with the residents. Don't put the onus on the city employees. They got enough stuff to do all day based on all these stupid ordinances that you think up to do all the time. Not all of them are stupid, obviously, but many are crazy, like must wear a mask. Let's see. A lot of this is coming about because people are operating out of fear. What if something happens? How are we going to reassure ourselves? How are we going to reassure our residents? The bottom line came out where the words that came out of the city solicitor's mouth, who is Ms. Giuliani, when she said that federal law will not preempt local law. So you can make as many ordinances and rules that you want to make and put it in writing, put it on a video, put a sign when you drive down ComAb, welcome to Newton. This is a sanctuary, quote, welcoming city. The bottom line is federal law will not
You have
preempt
about 30
local
seconds
law.
left.
Okay, that's fine. Anyways, enjoy your mask wearing, everybody. Everyone who's so disease and you know, so afraid of catching some strange disease, put on a mask. Just don't tell anyone you're from ICE. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Next, we're going to go to Joan Schultz on Zoom. Please unmute when prompted. State your name and address. Can you reset the clock? Joan, you need to click the button on your Zoom and unmute. Nope, you just had it. You need to click the button that says unmute. Go ahead and click the button. Okay, you're having some technical difficulties. We're going to take the comments back into the chamber. Joan, keep your hand up and we'll get to you when we go back to Zoom. Next on my clipboard, I'm going to give 3 names. Sheila Decter, Dahlia Firuzabadi, and Layla Grossman. Please step up to the podium, state your name and address, please.
Councilor Lucas? May I just remind folks that if they wish to follow along on Zoom and see the speaker in chambers, they can pin my screen on Zoom, Councilor Sean Roach.
Thank you.
Sheila
ahead.
Decter, I live at 13 Ransom Road.
Can you just speak closer into the mic, please?
Sean would send it to me. Thank you. Sheila Decter, 13 Ransom Road, Newton. I've been a resident of Newton for almost 60 years, but I'm also a first-generation American. My parents came very, very early to this country in the early part of the 19th century, or 20th century, excuse me. What I wanted to do is to just do a little bit of history for a second. I recall growing up in the 40s and the 50s when our parents would, in hushed voices in the evening, would talk, thinking the children did not hear them, and say they could not absolutely understand how the good citizens of Germany could not know what was going on in the various camps so close to their cities. And I want to say, so we don't have an exact equivalent, but we have something close enough to be of concern. We have the establishment of large detention centers. We have the efforts to build detention centers all over this country that have to be stopped. We have discussions about criminal complaints when we're actually talking not about having taken a whole lot of people with criminal backgrounds into custody, but the vast majority of the people that ICE has been taking have civil complaints, not criminal complaints. It is, we in this generation cannot leave it to our children to turn and wonder, what did the citizens of Newton do when members of our community, people who have attended our schools, people who own stores in our neighborhoods, people whose children grow up with our children. What are we going to say, and what is going to be said about us that we did not step up to the plate, deal with it, and make sure that we were as active as possible in preventing this overreach by the federal government, an overreach that is illegal, that violates due process of law and violates human rights and our citizen rights, which have been expressed here today very well. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Dolly Firuzabadi, 25 Oakmont Road. I'm a 17-year-old student with a Persian background, and I'm speaking today because this issue is not abstract to me. It's personal, and it affects my family on a deeper level. My dad was born in Tucson, Arizona, but moved to Iran only a few weeks after. He returned to the United States when he was 19 as a full citizen with hope and worked hard to build a life here by himself. My dad raised me to appreciate the opportunities America can offer, but despite all of that, there's still a constant layer of anxiety that follows him around in ways most people would never notice. One of the clearest examples of this is something simple but deeply unsettling. My dad carries his passport with him everywhere he goes, not just when traveling, not just for official appointments, every day, even when he's just going out to run errands. He does this because he's afraid of being questioned, stopped, or not being able to prove his rightful citizenship. That fear is real to him, and it shapes how he moves through the world. This is why I want to talk about the presence and impact of U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement in communities like Newton. When people hear immigration enforcement, they might think it only affects undocumented individuals or people far away from them. But in reality, it creates a sense of anxiety that spreads much wider into immigrant families, mixed status households, and even naturalized citizens and lawful residents who still don't always feel fully safe or fully seen. In my family, even though my dad is here legally and contributes to society, that fear still exists. It doesn't disappear with paperwork. I want people to understand that this isn't about ignoring laws or suggesting that immigration systems don't matter. They do. It's about recognizing the human impact of how enforcement is experienced in everyday life. When people feel like they have to carry documents everywhere just to avoid worst-case scenarios, that says something about the level of fear that exists in the community. Newton is a place that values education, diversity, and inclusion. We take pride in being a community where people from all backgrounds can thrive. But I believe that for those values to be real, people shouldn't have to live with constant anxiety about being questioned or treated as if they don't belong. I'm sharing my story because I want people to see the human side of this issue. Behind every policy discussion, there are families like mine, parents, students, neighbors, who are simply trying to live their lives with dignity and without fear. My hope is that we can have more conversations that focus on understanding, compassion, and making sure that everyone in our community feels safe enough to leave their home without fear in their pocket. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next.
Hello, everyone. My name is Layla Grossman, 1281 Walnut Street. I'm a 17-year-old junior at Newton South High School. I'm deeply aware of actions being taken by ICE across the country and the significant impact they have on families, especially children. I appreciate the opportunity to speak today about an issue that is weighing heavily on many members of our community. I'd like to emphasize that this is not just an adult concern, but students across Newton are carrying the fear and uncertainty that their families could be affected, that their parents, grandparents, siblings, aunts, and uncles could be taken away from them at any moment. So I come before you with a simple but urgent question. What will you all, as Newton's leaders, do to address ICE's presence in our own community? As students, we are already navigating so much in our daily lives. We worry about bullying, about school shootings, and here in Newton, we are seeing a rise in anti-Semitism that has deeply impacted many of our peers, including myself. These are not distant issues, they are part of our everyday reality. Adding the fear of immigration enforcement to that list creates an overwhelming weight that many of us carry quietly. It is yet another source of stress in a time when we are supposed to feel supported, safe, and able to learn. I want to be clear. I believe in a middle ground. Border control and an organized immigration process are important. A system should exist, and it should function fairly and effectively. But what many of us are seeing right now are not just policies. They are tactics that create fear. And that is where the line must be drawn. This is why due process matters so deeply. Many people do not realize the difference between a judicial warrant and an administrative warrant. A judicial warrant is signed by a judge and carries legal authority, and an administrative warrant does not. When enforcement actions rely on the latter, it raises serious concerns about whether individuals' constitutional rights are being fully respected. That brings me to a key point: trust. Our community depends on trust between residents and our local police department. That trust cannot exist if people fear that seeking help could lead to deportation or family separation. I urge Newton's leaderships to adopt and maintain a policy of non-cooperation with ICE in ways that protect our students and preserve that trust. Equally important is education. People need to know their rights, what they can say, what they are not required to say, and how to protect themselves and their families. Empowering our community with this knowledge is one of the most immediate and impactful steps that we can take.
You have about 30 seconds left.
Finally, I want to emphasize something simple but deeply important. As students, the two places we should always feel safe are our homes and our schools. But for many, that sense of safety is no longer guaranteed. The fear that ICE could disrupt families has made even these spaces feel uncertain. No student should have to sit in a classroom wondering if their family will still be there when they get home. I ask you to consider the impact of your decisions, not just as policymakers, but as members of this community. Students are watching, we are listening, and we are hoping that you will choose policies that reflect fairness, accountability, and humanity. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speakers are Ezra Abrams, Mark Dienaberg, and Philip Katz. Apologies if I mispronounced anyone's name.
Thank you, sir. My name is Ezra Abrams. I've only lived in Newton for about 35 years on Colbert Road, and my kids got an excellent education in the public schools. I view the election of Donald Trump and the ascendancy of the right-wing GOP as an existential threat to our country. It is an emergency. And in an emergency, you stop. You don't do what you are doing. You do something else. And in my opinion, the city council, if I may say so, councilors, and the mayor very clearly have not treated this as an emergency. And let me give you two examples. Last year, I went to the mayor's office to express these views to the very helpful and very articulate staff there. And they asked me, well, what do you want us to do? I said, I don't know, I'm just some jerk off the street. How about a big sign in front of City Hall that says we support DEI? Oh no, we can't do that. We have a policy against that. It's an emergency, okay? You throw the policy out the window and fight back. Another example, last year before the election, there was a meet the candidates for school board thing at the high school where you could go and talk to the people running for school board. And I said to several of them, in my view, the Newton High School should have a required course for all seniors about civics that, without being personal, makes it clear how extreme Donald Trump and the GOP have become. Anti-vax, cutting the NIH budget. Obviously, I could go on forever. Oh no, we can't do that. It costs too much. We don't have time. That's not possible. Of course it's possible. We are one of the wealthiest cities in the entire country. If we thought this was a priority, we could do it. But apparently it's not. And I'm sorry, if you have heard Senator Markey or Senator Warren speak at some of the No Kings rallies, they talk about the heritage of Massachusetts, the Revolution, the abolitionists, the Supreme Court legalizing same-sex marriage.
About 30 seconds left.
I believe it is our duty to fight the force of Donald Trump and those behind him with everything we can. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Good evening. My name is Phil Katz. I live on Kensington Avenue in West Newton. Thanks for this opportunity for all of us and for me to talk. The executive order, the ordinance, and the Q&A on the website. However, we live in unprecedented times which require unprecedented policies and actions, and we need more from Newton. Despite what the Trump representative here and the ICE supporters have said, I will quote from the Cato Institute, saying 5% of the people detained by ICE have criminal conviction or violent convictions. 73% have no convictions at all. I have seen ICE take people in our neighboring Waltham. I've seen them take them from the courthouse before they've had any opportunity to defend themselves legally with whatever was going on. ICE has tried to intimidate me personally at my house in Newton. Our concerns here are not theoretical, but real, serious, and urgent. We need to know that Newton will do everything they can to keep us safe. We need to hear that the police we have heard that the police will not interfere and deal with any kind of issue in courts. What I want to hear is that the police will interfere and then deal with the issue in courts. We need to hear that the police will exercise their duty to interfere when they see anyone acting illegally and using excessive force. We need to hear that the police will witness, document, and report all illegal or possibly illegal actions. We need to hear that the police will positively identify those who say or act like they are ICE agents. And with all this and all the things we've been talking about, I've also heard in this room concerns about policies, and we shouldn't have written policies. We need clear written policies for the police, for other employees, and for the schools. They should be written, they should be clear, they should be distributed to all, they should be used to train our employees and inform our residents, our friends, our visitors, and the people who work here. They should be modified and clarified as needed.
You have about 30 seconds left.
Thank you. With these kinds of policies, they will protect us, they will protect the city employees, and protect police officers, so everyone knows what is expected of them and of others. Again, I ask Newton to do better. They've done well. We need to do a lot better. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, there are Mark Dieneberg. No? Okay. All right, we're gonna go for the next three names. Lynn Weisberg, Amelia Oliver, Albert Ceccanelli.
Good evening, Lynn Weisberg, 5 Alden Street. I want to begin by thanking the city for issuing its executive order and for putting up a very complete new webpage about the rights and resources available to immigrants. However, those steps are a very tiny baby step in the direction we need to move. So much more needs to be done. I will address 3 things that are cost-effective, easy to implement, and should hopefully be done within the very near future. I'm somewhat concerned that this is a hearing before the council since we know the council doesn't really have the authority to implement any of the ideas that people have raised tonight. That falls to the mayor. But I hope that you will summarize for the mayor and his staff the points that have been made tonight, because he's the one who is in a position to do something about these things. So first, the executive ordinance, the executive order and the webpage make it clear that ICE should not be entering city property. Well, how about putting signs up everywhere to make that clear? Many other communities have done that. An example of one, and again, it couldn't be simpler than this property is owned by the city of Newton. It may not be used in any way for civil immigration enforcement. It would be the same format of other city signs. It could have the city seal at the top or the bottom, and that should be posted everywhere. Now, at the last hearing before this committee, city officials said, oh no, we can't do that because it's actually not going to really deter ICE. It won't really be effective.
You have
Well,
30 seconds.
pardon me?
About 30 seconds.
Oh, thank you. By the way, is that music that you hear, the end of the 3 minutes? Okay, a buzzer might have been a little easier to understand. We all thought that someone's phone was going off. Okay, in addition to signs, the issue has been raised by others, but I want to
Wrap up, please.
I will, thank you. That there needs to be written instructions to all city employees. We've been told that there's been lots of training, but training isn't enough. It needs to be in writing so employees have something to refer to in the event they see ICE come into their office. I will submit my other 2 points in writing. And I think I finished before that music started.
Next. And by the way, folks, you can always email the full city council at citycouncil@newtonma.gov. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Amelia Oliver. Hey, John. Not related. I live at 20 Trowbridge Avenue in Newtonville. Thank you, city council members, committee members, and all the residents here for listening to all the public comment tonight. I'm not saying anything new. People that went right before me said the same thing that I'm going to say. But if anyone is curious what percentage of people arrested, detained, or deported by ICE were convicted of a violent crime, or convicted of any crime, or charged with any crime, you can go to the Cato Institute and look it up online. They have a lot of data. Secondly, what the speaker right before me said, my ask is very simple to the city. Please post a sign that says City of Newton, no ICE at our public or at our city buildings, our sensitive buildings, such as our schools, our houses of worship, and our hospitals. Please have a clear protocol for the Newton Police on interacting with ICE so we all know what to expect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Albert Ciccinelli, 224 Chapel Street, Nonantum. And I'd like to thank you for actually having public comment after that other meeting that we didn't. Before I start my comments, I'd like to ask the city councilors here, any one of you that believe that the purpose of Newton city government is for the safety and the needs of legal residents and legal aliens over illegal aliens, please stand up. Oh, I'd like the record to reflect that only Mr. Lucas is standing, and I'd like to actually clarify: are you standing because you're required to during the meeting? Or do you think that the safety of Newton citizens and legal aliens should come before anyone else in the city?
Please finish your comments, sir.
Okay, you don't want to answer? Okay. Thank you. We're all confused here. We're a city and we're a nation of laws. And there is a law that's been broken. And you're looking at not the root of these problems. You're looking at the solution to the problems. We had 4 years of unfettered illegal immigration with nothing happening. We've had 9 years of Newton being a welcoming city where illegal aliens have not been held accountable. We have courts around the state that will not cooperate with ICE when a dangerous criminal, the worst of the worst, is in the court. This has led to the need for ICE agents to be out hunting these people down. You, all of you, are the cause of this fear and this all this consternation. You, all of you, are responsible for Minnesota, Texas, Georgia, Florida, all have had 10 times the amount of illegal aliens picked up by ICE with nothing. We look at California, we look at Seattle, we look at Minnesota. They were encouraged, like at the meeting on the 19th, when we were told by city councilors that we have to empower our citizens to get between ICE and people thereafter.
About 30 seconds.
Dangerous. We need common sense here. And I wish one of you had stood up. I'm a little disappointed, Cyrus. Have a nice day.
Thank you. The next 3 speakers are going to be Barbara Morse, Elliot Fisk, Peter Goddard. Please make your way to the podium, please. Well, if you're one of the 3, come up.
My name's Elliot Fisk. I live at 77 Beaconwood Road here in Newton. I've been very touched by the concern for law and order of our friends in the GOP. They were really looking for a criminal. There's one in the White House with 34 counts of felony against him. And if we're talking about aliens, are you speaking about Martians, or exactly what do you have in mind? It's an interesting thing. I wonder what the Native Americans would say about 350 illegal aliens in their territory. But to get to the real point, we've got to have a strategy. It's got to be clear. I wouldn't really know what to do. And I've been out at No Kings every Saturday that I've been here. So I think we really do need to know what the law is, because I'm in constant contact actually with a lot of people who disagree with me. So I think that's interesting. I don't need to talk to somebody who agrees with me. And Mr. Ciccinelli, we met on the picket line when you had your posters out.
Sir, can you address your comments to me, please?
All right, sorry, sure. I'd just like to say we need clear instruction as to what we really can do legally, because I wouldn't really know. And this point's been made better by everybody who's spoken before. I don't need to repeat that, but we really need to have a strategy. I'll say this: I spent 40 years of my life as a professor at universities in the German-speaking world. Outside my apartment in Salzburg, there are things that are called Stolpersteine. What are those? Those are little plaques in the sidewalk on which states which Jew was picked up, when the birth date of that Jew was, when that Jew was deported, and when that Jew was killed in some concentration camp. So it's a slippery slope. It happens fast, and we need to be prepared. And that's, I would beg everybody to really have a strategy. We've had a lot of good emotion here, good points on both sides. And I hope we can get some clarity. So thanks very much.
Thank you.
Good evening, Peter Goddard, 6 Islington Road in Auburndale. My name is Peter Goddard. I'm in my 28th year teaching at Newton North, and I'm also a deacon at the historic Myrtle Baptist Church, where I'm here representing my pastor, Reverend Brandon T. Crowley. I stand here to ask you to do the right thing and to add your heft behind Mayor Laredo's executive order regarding any kind of ICE action in the city. We've all heard about an order is a nice start, but we ask that, among other things, that you require any officer, legitimate or not legitimate, to show their faces as they move among us. There will be no mass thuggery here, as we have seen in Somerville, Worcester, Milford, Minneapolis. We ask that you establish that they cannot enter schools or any municipal space without a signed judicial warrant. I can tell you from personal testimony as a teacher, I have had students personally tell me that they are afraid sometimes to come to school, and family members are afraid to go to their jobs. We ask that you do not rent out any space to ICE for any reason. Nothing to help ICE or to be ambivalent towards ICE should happen here. As one representing my pastor, I'm going to say something about faith. Jesus to us at Myrtle Baptist Church is one who identified with the marginalized. He championed the meek. He is with the oppressed. One can even say that Jesus' beginnings match those who have been refugees. At the least, his family had to move due to the threat of violence from empire. So please help those who have moved from the threats of their homeland to the current threat of this American empire. I'm also an English teacher, so I'm going to give you a little Shakespeare. He tells us in a speech that he wrote for a play called Sir Thomas More that we should be compassionate to what they called the stranger. He outlines the stranger's case. Shakespeare, as did Jesus, loved the stranger when he asked the assembled mob to not give in to their mountainous inhumanity. I'd like to tell my children that neither did you. There are a few magic hours in our lives where we must stand and be counted. I do believe this is one of them for this body. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next 3 speakers are going to be Nancy Zollers, Carolyn Stone, Mary Jo Capicelli. And before you speak, is there a Barbara Morse who I called earlier? I don't know if you stepped away, but I had called your name. But if you are here, you can step up to the podium. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Nancy Zollers, 154 Oliver Road. Thanks for the opportunity. I almost didn't speak, Chairman Lucas, because some speakers who turned away from you, who are listening to the public speech and turned towards us in intimidating and harmful ways. I felt intimidated by some of the speakers, and I think in addition to asking us to be respectful and not clapping, perhaps you should tell people who are testifying to be sure that they're testifying to all of you and not speaking in those harsh terms to other people who have come to testify. So I can't add much to all the wonderful things that have been said tonight about what this city should do and how you should influence the mayor. So I thought I'd bring you a message from the city of brotherly love in Philadelphia and tell you that those counselors enacted legislation called ICE Out. They did it because they strengthens Philadelphia as a welcoming city and protects personal data and civil rights of the residents in Philadelphia. This ICE Out legislation that they are doing limits everything that the ICE activity in Philadelphia does within the city's power. Staying silent does not protect. Fear is not public safety. Trust is, these Philadelphia city councilors say. Our city will stand with immigrant communities and push ICE out of our neighborhoods. Philadelphia wants our city to be free from fear and violence. And our community is demanding action, and so we have offered this as a city council. The Ice Out package that Philadelphia is pursuing is a shield. Isn't that a fabulous term? A shield.
About 30 seconds left.
Oh, I have so much to say. It ensures that no one is discriminated against based on the color of their skin. So I recommend this package of bills to you from our City of Brotherly Love, who is a neighbor. And the people in this room have talked about how important it is to be in communication with our neighbors.
Could you wrap up, please?
Sure. Um, um, if I can be of any further help around the Philadelphia package, I'd be happy to, if you want to know more about what those city councilors decided to do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Carolyn Stone. I live at 66 Verndale Road in Newton Highlands. I want to thank the council for giving us the opportunity to speak to this issue this evening. What the mayor has proposed is a good step, but as people have been saying all evening, more needs to be done. I volunteer at an organization in Framingham called the Metro West Workers Center. They give financial aid and find legal representation to people that we call our neighbors, immigrants. And what I do is I offer transportation to people, like take them to a doctor's appointment or to the ICE office in Burlington. And I don't say this to pat myself on the back. I do it because I want not to be insulated from what's happening, which can so easily happen in Newton. And because of them, I made a sign that I carry in the Saturday protests in Newton Corner that says due process for all, because I feel like that pretty much covers it. These people don't get due process. I don't know whether the people I take to the ICE offices are here legal or not. I don't know whether they've committed any crimes, but I want them to have due process. But getting to what I hope we can do in Newton, I would like the city to put up signs that say ICE cannot operate in certain properties like schools and hospitals and city offices without a judicial warrant. I would like the city not to rent property to ICE.
You're going to speak.
And I would like police to be sure that police are trained in de-escalation should there be a violent confrontation between protesters and ICE. Thank you.
Thank you. Before you make your remarks, I just want to say after you speak, we're going to go to Zoom. So if you're on Zoom, please raise your virtual hand if you want to address the committee and go ahead at the podium.
My name is Mary Jo Capicilli, and I live at 777 Winchester Street in Newton Center. And first, I'd like to commend the Newton North and South students who spoke so eloquently. Every one of them were marvelous. And I'm agreeing with the previous speaker. Due process of the law is for all humans. We all know that if you don't know where you're going, you will end up someplace else. The federal overreach of ICE is cruel and unconscionable. Believe your eyes. Newton needs to have clear protocols to protect immigrants and citizens alike. Unless we want to end up in the someplace else that is ICE crime and cruelty, we need to be proactive and clear about what we will not tolerate from ICE. That's it.
Thank you. We're going to go to Zoom, but if anyone who wants to address the committee who's in the chamber, there is a sign-up sheet at the podium. You can step forward and sign your name and I will call on you. But for now, we're going to go to Zoom. And I see Joan Murray with her hand up. Please unmute when prompted.
Yes, thank you, Chairman, and thank you for letting me speak. I wanted to say, I'm Joan Schultz. I live at 64 Hatfield Road in West Newton. And I want to just, my thoughts, so much has been so eloquently described, so this will be more of a hodgepodge, so I apologize. But I want to think back to just prior to the election, when there was a bill that was passed, ready to be passed, to address the problems with immigration, that if I remember correctly, and I'm not a great historian, that was killed, so to speak, because Trump did not enable that to be passed. And I think that that would have been it was a bipartisan way of sort of addressing a giant problem that existed. So I will acknowledge from the Republican side that there was a problem there that needed to be addressed. But instead, what we've gotten is an administration that's come in and is actually not addressing the problem appropriately. So in psychology, we think about content and process. So the content is we need to address the immigration problem, but the process by which they are going about it is illegal. And so what you say is, we're all following the Constitution, but you have a federal government that is not following the Constitution. So then what do you do when federal officers who come into your city are breaking the law right in front of you? I'm not sure. I think the first thing you should do, which I have heard many people say, is inform people about what is going on. I have many friends who are not tuned in. They're busy with their daily lives. They don't understand how severe the situation is, how you know, a guy was taken right off of Moody Street, how it's an enormous concern to me. So we need to inform people. We need to inform them of the rules. And I want to add this to this, and I so respect all of the people who have spoken, who come from a place where they were persecuted. My father was a World War II vet, and he served in the 82nd Airborne. And one of the last things he did was to liberate a concentration camp. He was never the same after that. He could never speak about it, and it burdened him, the tragedy of that. And this is what we are moving towards. So the people who said this earlier, the detention centers, the pathways, read about the pathways for transportation that are being built from
You have about
Boston
20 seconds left.
and all these other places to these detention centers. Don't believe that they're not coming for you or someone like you next, because we don't know who they're coming for next, but we need to protect our vulnerable people. And thank you so much for the students and for all the other immigrants who spoke out. I applaud you.
Thank you. I don't see any other hands on Zoom, so we're gonna take it back to the clipboard. I have three names: Karen Bray, Bob Donahue, Laura Conway. Please make your way to the podium.
Hello, my name is Karen Bray. I live at 38 Stern Street, Newton Center for 35 years. I want to thank Councillor Lucas and all our city councilors and the mayor for this opportunity to speak. And first, I'd like to briefly address the ICE supporters in the room and to tell them that the Cato Institute does a great job of gathering data, but the US government also does a great job of gathering data. And here's a piece that they have. Immigrants with 0 criminal record are now the largest group in U.S. detention. I hope you will take that in. I'm concerned about the safety of all Newton residents. The Newton City website states, quote, "Officers cannot intervene or obstruct federal agents lawfully carrying out their duties. I appreciate that it might be difficult for a Newton police officer to discern whether or not an ICE agent is acting lawfully. That's a serious problem that needs to be addressed. I'm also worried about the word terrorism. Ordinance 2-403 from the mayor on the newtonma.gov website states that our Newton Police Department, quote, may detain or arrest any individual in cooperation with ICE who is being investigated for terrorism. How will the Newton Police Department know whether or not these folks who are being investigated are really terrorists or simply American citizens who disagree with Trump? As of September 2025, the federal government issued a national security presidential memorandum, MSPM 7, called Countering Domestic Terrorism and Organized Political Violence, which gives a very broad definition of terrorism, including nonprofits and activists. I am a member of Newton Indivisible, and Indivisible has been named as one of the, quote, enemies from within. I'm going to continue my activism, and I'm going to continue standing out and speaking out, but I don't want my life or the lives of any other law-abiding Newton residents to be endangered. We here in Newton have the gift of time and experience from what happened in Minneapolis.
About 30 seconds left.
Ordinance number 1 on the city website states, the Newton PD follows established protocols and longstanding practices to protect peaceful protests and protesters. I'd like to know in this dangerous climate exactly how the Newton Police Department is going to, quote, protect peaceful protests and protesters, end quote. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next.
Good evening, Bob Donahoe, 54 Mill Street. I'm a 30-year resident of Newton. This is the first meeting that I've ever attended in City Hall of any type. Of course, there's a reason why. I came here to attend BC Law, and I don't want to leave. So once ICE arrives, no community is safe from cruelty, violence, lawlessness, and disorder that they create. Let's not fool ourselves and say that they need protection from citizens. The citizens need protection from ICE. Now, any response is going to require clarity. It's going to require moral clarity. We heard someone from the church speak earlier. It's going to require situational clarity. And more of anything else, it's going to require imagination to do things we might have never considered doing before. If you have any doubt the level of, depravity that ICE conducts themselves with, please go out to Burlington, go to one of the protests and hear firsthand. Due process, I've heard it a few times recently. You know, it's meaningful. When you don't get it, it's really meaningful. When you're treated and housed inhumanely and cruelly right in Burlington by the mall, God knows what happens in Texas and Louisiana. Well, God damn it, we need to do something. So let's imagine, how do we go further now? Well, if we work together, it's tens or hundreds or 1,000 residents locking arms to prevent ICE access. Where? An apartment building, a work site, a high school. Imagine that. And it's having that a nonviolent show of force by our community in numbers that the community police, who we know and respect, are there to support our acts of civil disobedience. That's the only way, if we show up in numbers and if we collectively work together. We've talked, someone just mentioned a moment ago, the lawlessness of this agency. They are not, by any measure, a legitimate federal authority, and we shouldn't treat them like that. Now, we should perform with lawfulness and peaceful, but it should be forceful. And we need the help of the city to do that. There's been a lot of great ideas.
You have about 30 seconds left.
And remember, there's safety and impact in numbers. There's safety and impact if we litigate together with Boston or Brookline and to stop ICE activities. There's safety in numbers when we protest and block ICE together with support of our community police. Let Newton be another community with the courage to meet our moral obligations and show zero tolerance for a cruel and lawless federal agency. Thanks. I hope it won't be 30 more years.
Thank you. Next.
Good evening. My name is Laura Conway, 54 Cummings Road. I hadn't planned on speaking this evening, so I appreciate the opportunity to speak, and I also will appreciate everybody's patience when this is a less than smooth delivery. But I had been compelled to speak because of the statements made by a previous speaker about going after the worst of the worst. And based on the actual statistics, which other speakers have since come up and addressed, and I appreciate that the vast majority, 73% of the people who are, as of April 2026, the 73% of the people detained by ICE have no criminal records, and fewer than 14% have any criminal record, and fewer than 5 have any criminal record or charges for serious crimes. So the statement that the people who are showing concern for the pace and level of detention are being hysterical because they're only going after the worst of the worst. I think it just has to be stated and emphasized that that is not actually what's going on. The other note I wanted to make is that I think there is a process that has existed for individuals who are in the country illegally, who commit serious crimes or commit crimes and receive due process. And if they are found guilty following any detention that or incarceration or whatever the sentence is, they are deported. I don't think anyone has a problem with that. I think when people are expressing their concern, it is over the way in which people who do not have criminal records are being detained, but also the manner in which ICE is going about this. And I don't think it's not imaginary. People aren't making this up. You see it every day. So what others have described as hysteria, I think is actually better described as humanity. Thank you.
Thank you. We have 3 more names on the sheet. We have Brittany Schwartz, Martha Durkee Newman, and Myra Ferry. Please approach the podium and address the committee. Go ahead. Oh, we can't, I can't hear you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brittany Schwartz. I live at 52 High Street in Newton Highlands. Before I read what I originally prepared, I want to respond to a sentiment I've heard from just a few people in the room today, which is that we shouldn't worry about ICE because they're only going after people who are undocumented or who have committed crimes. I want to clarify that I, and many others here, care about those people too. Everyone deserves due process and dignity. So, I'm here to request that this committee work with the mayor to adopt strong, clear policies to protect Newton residents and visitors during ICE operations. The existing welcoming city ordinance and the recent executive order are a good start, but they do not cover how Newton will protect residents and visitors when ICE is actively carrying out operations. The gaps and vagueness in these policies leave members of our community vulnerable. A starting point could be to review policies from other cities that have stronger, more precise language. I also think the welcoming city ordinance has too many exceptions for when NPD or Newton admin can collaborate with ICE, and I'd like to see that list be reduced or ideally eliminated.
Could you speak closer to the mic, please?
Yes, thank you.
You can put the mic down. There you go. Go ahead. Sorry.
My next request is for Newton to consider a policy that would restrict the use of facial surveillance technology within the city.
This is relevant because the federal administration has been expanding surveillance contracts to collect and aggregate data on immigrants and citizens. Other cities have existing regulations that can be used as a template. I'll close my comments by reminding the room that there are individuals who live in, work in, shop at, or otherwise visit Newton who don't feel that they can safely join us here tonight to share their stories because of their identity, their immigration status, or their activism. I'm asking the committee and the council and the mayor to please prioritize making Newton safer for our immigrant neighbors, coworkers, and friends. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Next.
Thank you. My name is Myra Marks Ferry. I live at 515 Center Street. And I have a few comments that both respond to what has been said here, and I appreciate the variety of constituent opinions that have been expressed. But I think pitting citizens against non-citizen residents is a fake claim about safety. We have hard data on the lesser rates of criminality among non-citizens among us. Were the ICE of today really concerned about our collective security, it might actually function as it did in the Obama administration. I and others criticized Obama as the deporter in chief for enforcing outdated immigration law that our Congress failed to reform to allow children and others to regularize their status when they proved over a long period of time that they were not criminal, failed to reform the law to allow easier regularization of parents of citizen children. But Obama's immigration enforcement was done with due process of law, was neither masked nor cruel and dangerous to people of color or to people with unpopular opinions. Nor did it attack the people who married Americans and had children with Americans and tear up their families. And our laws now are refusing to allow such people to become citizens. That, I think, is the problem. In Newton, I think it is important that federal agents who are active in Newton should have easy to read identification and not wear masks or any other face covering. Armed individuals can put police or ICE on a vest without any actual identification. Wearing a mask when armed signals nefarious intent. And the Newton Police Department and every Newton police officer should ask any armed person that they see in a mask for their personal identification and their position in whatever agency they claim to represent. Newton police should also
About 30 seconds.
investigate any property damage or potential criminal conduct by those who claim to be federal agents. And unless they can definitively be identified as such, each should be treated as threatening criminal actors. The highest priority is to protect those most vulnerable in our community and those who are most likely targets of ICE. This means everyone who appears Asian, Black,
Wrap up, please.
Hispanic, or Middle Eastern is facing risk of illegal discrimination in traffic stops and in public spaces. So I think that it's extremely important that those spaces be patrolled by Newton police to protect from discrimination.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And hold on just for 1 second. This is our last speaker on the clipboard. So if there's anyone on Zoom who wishes to address the committee, please raise your virtual hand and I will call on you in turn. Go ahead.
Thanks. Hi, my name is Martha Durkee Newman. I live at 42 West Street in the awesome village of Nanantum. Hi, counselors. Nice to see you. Hi, neighbors and friends. Nice to see you. Thanks for having us. I'm a Unitarian Universalist minister, a resident of Newton, and an organizer with the Luce Hotline. So I help neighbors here in Newton to respond to alerts of ICE activity in our community, which are happening with increasing frequency over the past year and a half. What I've seen from my work in Luce is that a lot of the ICE agents in our community and neighboring communities are acting illegally, and this makes me nervous and a lot of my neighbors and friends nervous. So I would encourage the council to do what you can with your relationships with the mayor and each other to strengthen some of the provisions around how you instruct our police department to respond to particularly illegal activity from federal law enforcement, which is actively happening. There was an unlawful detention just on the other side of my neighborhood on the Watertown side 3 days ago, in which a member of my community was assaulted by an ICE agent 6 blocks from my house. We need to know and be able to trust you all and our local police department that we can keep all our folks safe. I love my neighbors. All of my neighbors belong, no matter who you are or where you come from or what you believe. I am rooted in my values as a person of faith, that every person has inherent worth and dignity exactly as they are. No matter if you have committed a crime of any kind, you deserve due process under the law. And it's important that we here in Newton continue to uphold that. The current executive order gives a lot of leeway to local police, and us residents don't know if those local police are going to protect us or comply. Information sharing is really key. So, making sure that our information is protected. The case of Emmanuel Damas in Boston, a Boston resident whose information was shared during a routine interaction with law enforcement after being fingerprinted. He was then picked up by ICE when that information was shared with federal law enforcement. This was after the EO that came out from Boston. So we know that unlawful information sharing is still happening, and it's really scary. I would also encourage us to just like do Sana's list of things for students because it was rock solid. And the last point I want to make is about flock technology and surveillance. So a public records request from last year showed a list of police departments that were looking into contracts with Flock, which is facial and license plate surveillance technology. That technology is really sketchy and is sold to ICE all the time. I see the 30 seconds of promise, so I'll make it before the music. So I would encourage us to not have a contract with Flock in Newton. That currently hasn't come to fruition as far as I know, but let's make sure that we're not over surveilling our people. That's what I want to say. Okay, thank you so much for your partnership. I appreciate it. Our people, every single one of them belong.
Thank you. I have no more names to call on my clipboard. So if there's anyone in the chamber who has not spoken yet, who wants to address the committee, please raise your hand so I can see you. And I don't see any hands. I see a lot of people exiting right now. And I just want to make sure there's no one on Zoom with their hand raised. I don't see any hands. Okay. It is 9:15. This is hold on. Folks, we still have a meeting. So just try to keep your voices down, please, and take it into the hallway if you need to communicate. Is there anyone? Okay. No one wants to address the committee. So I'm going to close public comments on this item for the evening. I want to take this into committee. This is a discussion item. Does anyone have any comments before we wrap up for the evening? Councillor Damubed, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So before everyone leaves, I would love to just say thank you to all of you who came and spoke tonight. It takes a lot of bravery to come to City Council and speak. It takes a lot of bravery even if you're on City Council to speak. And even if we don't share the same views on things, I want to say thank you for coming and having that bravery and sharing your thoughts. And on the topic of people who did speak, I do think it's important to note that the most vulnerable in our community might be those people that we're not hearing from, because it does take a lot to come here and speak up. And we have not done some of the actions that were suggested tonight around signage in public spaces that might help make people feel more comfortable in being in these spaces. And when I think about the most vulnerable in our community, I'm informed by the Bible in Matthew 25:40-45 that says, "Whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me." We're encouraged to feed the hungry, give drink to the thirsty, welcome strangers, clothe the naked, and visit the sick and prisoners. What I heard tonight was a lot of really interesting, helpful ideas, some of which I think we have considered, some of which are things that we've discussed with the mayor's office and with the administration, and some of which were novel. One thing that I heard very clearly throughout the evening that I hope we can give more thought to is that we now have a very thorough website and webpage with a lot of really helpful information on it. And we need a clear engagement plan for how that information is distributed to the people who need to have it at the ready in the moment that they need it. And that they may not know that newtonmass.gov is where you go to get that information. The other thing that I heard really clearly is that the police, sorry about the popping peas, the police are in a unique and difficult situation when it comes to ICE. This is something that we have known from our conversations and from trying to understand what the right path forward is for the police. And they are limited. The police everywhere are limited in how they can engage with federal agents, and what protection looks like in that context. I think, though, that because that is such a special and unique and challenging position for the police to be in, there is a special and unique burden of preparedness that comes with that. And that whether that means special de-escalatory training or something else, I think that we need to come to understand what it means to make sure that our police are prepared to be safe themselves and to keep our communities safe, our community members safe in context in which they're engaging with federal agents. So these were some of my takeaways from this very helpful hearing, and I'm grateful for your opportunity to speak in this committee. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Councilor Greenberg, you had your hand up.
Thank you, Chair. I also want to thank the public for their thoughtful comments. What we heard tonight was not abstract. It was real fear and deep concern from our residents. People understand exactly what's at stake. But I'm wondering, Councilor Lucas, if we are going to have a discussion tonight over the comments that were given to this committee, or should we take some time to digest what was said and meet again to discuss?
I do not want to start a brand new, not a brand new, but a conversation at 9:20.
Okay.
So we can always have a discussion later on, if that's okay. Council Greenberg, is that okay? Okay, all right.
Mr. Chair,
Councilor Albright?
so some of us are here from other committees that usually meet at the same time. I'm wondering if it would be possible to have the next discussion on this also on an alternative Wednesday.
On a special meeting, that is possible.
Thank you.
It was actually quite difficult getting this meeting and doing the poll with the committee to see if they could make it. So it would not be anytime soon, just so you know, because we have the budget coming up. And then after budget, we're almost in summer. So there's not much of a window if we want the conversation in the next 1 to 2 months, just so you know. Councilor Roach. And by the way, thank you for making your couple of announcements during the public comment.
My pleasure. Thank you. I agree with Councilor Greenberg and yourself that maybe 9:15, 9:20 is too late for extensive comments. I would like to make some, but perhaps now is not the right time. But I would like to briefly express to the folks who are still here, and I apologize, the nature of this room, it really hits tonight how inadequately designed it is for the purposes of hearing from the public and speaking to the public. I have my back to the public, and that makes me uncomfortable. I'm honored to be here and to bear witness to these remarks, particularly the remarks from the young people. I heard fear, empathy, frustration, a desire for justice. I heard moral clarity, genuine decency, humanity, anxiety, and dislocation. And I am renewed myself in my commitment to our residents, our neighbors, visitors here, to address this crisis and look forward to speaking about it further and encourage you, Chair, to do everything we can to have another meeting as quickly as possible to reflect the urgency. But I'm so deeply grateful to all of the people who came to express their values and share their thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Leary.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I'll be very brief. I agree we shouldn't be going into depth about this. I was very moved and impressed with the eloquence of the Newton residents that spoke about their concerns. And, I heard a lot of things that the ICE is a public health emergency, that people are afraid. I heard about the suggestion for welcoming city signs, and I don't think why that isn't something that we could do much more quickly up and around the city. I heard people talk about a maximalist approach, that ICE is not very good at their job, which I would agree with. They do not follow the law, essentially. So I think this really deserves a deeper dive, and I agree that we need to do more, that they are small steps in the right direction, but we need to do more. And I'd like us to pursue that and do it quickly, not wait till after budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Albright.
So I wasn't going to speak tonight, but I'm going to just say something about signs. If the administration doesn't want to put signs in all the public buildings, this room belongs to us. It feels like we could put a sign here somewhere about us being a welcoming city. And we could also put a statement on our agendas and our reports and our physical white paper that goes out either online or in snail mail, that Newton is a welcoming city and what that means, with a statement about ICE. So I'd like that to be considered by this committee, but I don't think the time is now. So if you don't have another meeting for 3 months, I'd be ashamed to miss the opportunity to discuss. Maybe you could discuss that at another meeting, having our own materials have a statement about being a welcoming city on it.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know how I would go about with the signs in the chamber, but it's in my notes. Counselor Charm.
Thank you, Chair. I understand that it is getting late and many people need to be getting home. I'm also aware that with so many things said and so many speakers, I heard 36, I think, in person and 6 on Zoom. I want to pull up just a few things that for me are the takeaways. Many emotions. I was particularly struck by a few of those emotions. One was that this is not hysteria. This is humanity. That one really resonated with me. I also heard another one that was, many of us are only here because somebody protected some ancestor of ours. I think that hits with many people of many different heritages, and I am holding that as I walk out. I also heard the sentiment that we want to be taking a maximalist position to protect people of this city. Those are 3 quotes from members of our community who spoke today. In terms of the next steps, I heard 4 major takeaways. The first is around signs. That's welcoming city signs, signs about public and non-public spaces within buildings. Also, which types of buildings in our community are considered to be off limits. City buildings, schools, hospitals, houses of worship. The second is around having clear written policies for city employees, for the police, for schools. People want to see these things in writing. Training is insufficient. It is necessary, but insufficient. The third is a real deep dive into the word terrorism and other exceptions in the Welcoming City Ordinance. I think there has been ample evidence that has been given here that currently that word is being thrown around a lot. And we need to be very clear about what we mean by that and whether that should be an exception that's in the Welcoming City Ordinance. And finally, the fourth is around more of the information sharing and surveillance, some of the more digital harms and overreaches that we need to be looking into. So as I walk out of here, those are the things that I'm carrying forward, and I look forward to us discussing those both as a council and with the mayor's office. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, Councilor Block, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. This may not be particularly popular, what I'm about to say, but this chamber does not belong to us. This chamber belongs to the people of Newton, as this building does, as all of our buildings do. And a public building must be open to anyone. Anyone. If someone commits a crime, treats someone else in a criminal manner, that's a matter for our police to act on. But I think we will regret putting up signs in public places and telling somebody that they are not allowed in. Private spaces are different matters. But let's not do things that we will someday come to regret. Thank you.
Councilor Greenberg?
I'd like to make a motion to hold and
Oh.
in hopes that we could have a meeting sooner rather than later, even though it's budget season.
Yes, I know. It will be difficult to get a meeting, a special meeting, but I will see what dates are available.
Okay.
Councilor Greenberg has made a motion to hold. Any discussion on the item? Seeing none, committee members, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Councilor Silber?
Aye.
Thank you. The item is held 6-0. This is our only item on the agenda. Thank you, everyone, for coming out this evening. I really do appreciate it. We are adjourned at 9:30. Good night.